Hello fellow aviators and welcome back to the channel to discuss all things aviation. Angelo Dube here welcoming you back. Today we are discussing a hobby called plane spotting. If the smell of aviation fuel makes you happy and if you want to hear that beautiful noise close up, then plane spotting is for you. So what does plane spotting involve really? It involves, tracking aircraft movement as they move from one airfield to another. It involves taking photographs of those aircraft and videos of those aircraft. It actually gives you a chance to get a close-up look at the birds as they land and as they take off. Some of the most beautiful videos, takeoff videos, landing videos, some of the most beautiful pictures that we see on the internet today, were provided to us courtesy of plane spotters at different airfields across the globe. So plane spotters provide a very good social service. They provide a very fundamental service to the development of aviation and to raising awareness around aviation itself. Plane spotters can also enhance aviation security in the sense that they can report suspicious movements around airports and thereby help aviation security personnel to keep the various airfields secure. So their services are not just social services. These are individuals who are doing this at their own expense, using their own time, solely because they're enthusiastic, they love aviation, they love aircraft. But if they see suspicious movements around airports, they could then tell, authorities, and authorities could then be able to apprehend or to investigate and apprehend whichever suspect is involved in that suspicious movement around any particular aerodrome. Needless to say, plane spotting can also add value to any aspiring pilot. Can act as that missing ingredient to drive enthusiasm, to drive motivation, and to keep the aspiring pilot glued to the goal, to the future. To have an idea of what the future looks like. So what gear would you need really to do your plane spotting? It's obvious that your cell phone is not the best gadget for doing this, unless it can zoom. I'm not talking about digital zoom, I'm talking about optical zoom, where it can use a lens that zooms out, physically. Then it's not really the best gadget to use for such. Plane spotting requires you to have a very good camera, not necessarily an expensive one, but a good one. You can shop around for a very affordable but good camera. A DSLR camera would do, one with or without an attachable, detachable lens. It depends on your budget, but you need a good camera for you to start on the hobby of plane spotting. So once you have that camera that can take high resolution pictures from a distance, and once you also have your binoculars with you, because you will need those binoculars, you could throw in a flight tracking app like Flight Radar 24 so that you know which aircraft is on approach right now, which direction is going to come from, which runway is in use. Then you'll be able to take good snaps as it approaches, as it touches down, as it taxis, or even as it takes off, depending on where you are in relation to that particular threshold of the runway. Is it legal though? Yes. But while it's perfectly legal, plane spotting is perfectly legal, some countries frown upon it. They want to clamp down on it because they will cite security issues, they will cite terrorism issues, things which are totally not related to plane spotting. But some countries will actually have harsher laws, to punish those who are found plane spotting. Most of the time they would prefer charges around terrorism on those who have been found plane spotting. So before you do plane spotting in whatever territory you're in, you need to first check the trends there, check the law there. What does the law provide for? There are countries that are totally unfriendly as far as plane spotting is concerned. In most instances, if it's a civilian airfield, it shouldn't really be much of a problem. But if it's a military airfield you're plane spotting at, obviously that may not end well. We all know that may not really end well. So it's imperative for you to actually do your own research and know what the laws and practices are in your territory as regards plane spotting before you actually venture out there and end up attracting terrorism charges towards yourself. So let's look at examples where plane spotting became problematic for the plane spotters. Take the example of the United Arab Emirates in 2015. They arrested 3 British nationals who were plane spotting and charged them with offenses that border on national security and terrorism. It's a clear case of people who love aviation and are enthusiastic about the field, taking their cameras, taking their binoculars, going towards an airfield, and obviously there they will train their binoculars on the aircraft as they move, as they take off, as they land. And the authorities there felt like there was a bit of terrorism involved there, that there was a threat to their national security, and they arrested them. In 2010, again in India, that case also involved 2 British nationals again. What did they do? They came into a hotel near an airport. On checking in, they requested a room that overlooked the runway, and that got the Indians suspicious, and they arrested them on suspicions of terrorism because they requested a runway that overlooks a room with a window that overlooks the runway. Obviously they wanted to be able to spot aircraft as they come in, spot aircraft as they take off, because that's what plane spotters do. But nope, the Indian authorities felt these guys should be charged with terrorism because they threatened the national security of India. Then back to South Africa, 2011, another British national arrested for plane spotting in South Africa, OR Tambo International Airport. He was found guilty by the court, sentenced to 10 months in jail or the payment of a fine not exceeding 5,000 South African rands for the crime of, I almost say for the crime of plane spotting, but it's not the crime, for actually engaging in plane spotting. Let's look at what crime actually was preferred against him. He was found in possession of a radio receiver without a license. Now, he used a receiver almost like this. This is a transceiver. It transmits and it receives, but his was just a receiver. It only received signals from the tower, so he could listen to aircraft as it communicated with the tower. He could listen to aviation chatter in that way, using that receiver. He couldn't transmit in any way. He could only receive what was in the airwaves, and he was charged with possessing that without having a license. And yeah, he was then sentenced to 10 months in jail or a fine not exceeding 5,000 South African rands. So it's clear from all those cases that authorities don't necessarily take kindly to plane spotting. They have their own motivations on that, but it's also clear that plane spotting serves a very crucial role in society. It serves a very crucial role in the field of aviation in general. The videos we see online, the pictures, beautiful pictures of jets taking off or landing, we see online, are taken by these spotters, and then they are shared, for everyone to enjoy this art form, and authorities sometimes in some spaces are hell-bent on actually crippling this beautiful hobby called plane spotting. In South Africa though, it's still very safe to do your plane spotting. Just be careful about operating your transceiver, your transmitter or your receiver without a license. I mean, if you stay away from that, you might just do well. Nobody may trouble you. I hope that was informative, and I hope it did explain to you what plane spotting is, what the pitfalls are if you engage in plane spotting, what the advantages of plane spotting actually are to society at large. But most importantly, I hope it gave you an idea of how you could use plane spotting as an aspiring pilot to begin to generate that interest, to begin to grow the interest, to begin to keep the enthusiasm running as you go towards your future goal. And remember that with every hour, the cockpit beckons. So I urge you to continue adding those hours. Whatever it is that you do, it's a game of hours. It's a game of hours through and through. Whether it's studying, whether it's flying, whether it's seeking for information, whether it's talking to other like-minded individuals, it is all a game of hours. Keep adding those hours, because with every hour the cockpit beckons. Continue to share these videos, continue to tell your buddies about it, continue to like, continue to subscribe. It's the only way we can grow this channel. It's the only way we can reach out to the African child. It's the only way Africa can be great again. Until next time, Angelo Dube signing out and saying cheers.